Hey guys, Merry Christmas, and I'm back with this project as promised, and this is the wallet tutorial. I had to divide this into two parts because this is quite long, so there's part 1 and part 2. So here is part 1 for you. To start off this project, we need patterns and we need all the other material, which I'm going to go through in a second. The patterns are about 4 parts in a pattern. So I've tried and made it as simple as possible. I'm going to go ahead and do this project first, and then I'm going to do another short video showing you what to do with the pattern, because when you download your pattern, it will have little white paper on here, little white sections on here, which will tell you what this pattern is and how many pieces you need to cut and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go ahead with this project, and then I will explain it to you about the pattern later. We are going to make this purse or wallet, as whichever way you want to call it, and I'm going to add some more sections in for the cards. There's already enough here. I can put probably 4 cards in there, but I'm going to put some more because sometimes I also keep my little pen drives and stuff like that in my purse. This one, I made it out of denim and the postcard fabric. I'm redoing it in a different fabric. This is a lot more easier to understand because there's only 3 fabrics that I'm using. Okay, so I have got a poly cotton small piece of fabric in black. This is what I'm going to use for my credit card pouches. And this is the applique paper, which has got glue on one side and paper on one side. And this is enough for my bigger part of the pattern. This is an 8-ounce cotton fabric, canvas fabric, sorry. And this is a normal denim. You can cut this out of any denim. This is sort of a medium weight. Don't go for too much of a heavy weight. Try and go for medium or lightweight, because when we bond these 2 fabrics together, this is going to bring a lot of strength and a lot of stiffness into the fabric. So I also have a zip. The measurement of the zip is exactly, it's very important you get the right zip for this. I'm going to mention it in the pattern as well. This one is a 6-inch metal zip. I also have these fittings. You're supposed to have 4 of these fittings, and when I bought this, I forgot to check it in time, so the 3rd one, the 4th one didn't come up. So these 2 go together, and there should be another catch here for this, but it isn't there. However, I'm just going to put a little picture on the screen so you can know when you buy it. It's supposed to come with 4 parts, so make sure that you check when you buy this. Okay, so let's go right ahead and get started. The first things first, before you cut your pattern, because we're all used to cutting the pattern right to the size. So with this one, you've got to be a little bit more cautious. What I've done, this is my pattern I need to cut. This is the main panel, and this is the outside, this one. So I have cut a little bit extra around it. The reason being, when you bond these 2 fabrics together, if you cut your pattern exactly right, sometimes you might have a little bubble, air bubble, or it might change the shape a little bit if you have a little bit of stretchability in your denim. So all those things, to sort out those things and not to waste fabric, it's better that you take a little bit extra like this and then bond it. Once the 2 are bonded, then you place your pattern and cut the fabric. That way you won't waste any fabric and you will get a perfect shape out of your pattern. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to bond these 2. I have already shown you this in the how to bond fabric in one of my previous videos. If you want a complete tutorial on it, I'll place a link in the description box below. Okay, I have now bonded my denim and my lining. So basically now I have got the fabric big enough, so I'm just going to place this, trim this all around. Same way, I'm going to cut all my fabric and then come back and show you. I have cut out all the panels I need. So if I take this away, this is the bonded fabric, denim, and then the canvas. And this is my zipper pouch, which I have done 2 colors. You can just go ahead and do 1 color if you like. And this will be the outer and this will be the inner. And my top panel is again denim, same as this one, but I haven't bonded this. This is just a single layer of fabric. And this is the side panel which I've taken black, and this is four pieces to the pattern. Okay, one of the important things that you do need to remember with this pattern is you can see there is a long big notch on these two sides, and there are teeny weeny notches on this side here and also here. So just make sure that you do cut your notches. It's not there just to show you, it's there to show you that you have to cut the notches bigger. I know when you stitch on either side, your notches are going to be seen. The reason is we're going to cut this off in the center later on. Just to make it easier, I have made big notches. So I have also made like the marks there. So just go ahead and make teeny weeny notches here and then a really big notch there. Okay, this is very important, and you will learn later on why we need this. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sew our zipper to the pouch. Before we go ahead and do it, I just want to show you one thing. Earlier I told you we were going to use this webbing tape. Yes, you can, no problem at all. But when I went to find some colored fabrics so that I could use in my zipper pouch in my garage, I just found this. I had already made this bias tape in red kind of polyester check fabric, and this has got good strength to it. So I've decided I'm going to use this instead of that because it's going to be quite decorative and really nice to look at. So that's a small change, but if you want to use a webbing tape, absolutely fine. And I'm just going to show you a little trick later on in the end if you're going to use a webbing tape, okay? But this is a 1-inch bias tape I'm going to be using, so later on you will see. Okay, so let's go right ahead and get started with the zipper pouch. Okay, before we go ahead and sew the zipper to the pouch, there's a little thing that I have to show you. This is a little bias tape that I've made, and we're going to just go and close the end of the zipper like that, because it's going to be a lot more neater instead of just trying to hold this into the seam. You can do it, but I'm just a little bit of a perfectionist, and I just want to do everything really as you've seen in my previous videos, it's got to be right and it's got to be neat. Okay, before we do that, this is actually a little excess, and this is this pattern is made for the 6-inch zipper. So I'm going to trim a little bit off here. Before I trim this off, I just need to see how much closer my machine can sew, because I have put a zipper foot at the minute. So I'm going to place my zipper foot and see where I can actually sew, because that is the closest I can sew in my machine. There are some machines and some zipper foots where you can go really close. Unfortunately, I can't. So it's about 1/8 inch away from the end of the zipper. So I have got, like, if I just put my needle there, it goes pretty close, but okay, so I know where I need to go. So I'm going to just trim a little bit off here, because that's what is excess, because then it makes my zipper kind of, you know, longer. So I'm going to do the same on this side, just trim a little bit off. So that should be more than enough. So on both ends, I'm just going to go and place this and sew really close like that, okay? We have finished sewing the two sides of the zip. So basically what we're going to do now is just go and place this fabric like this. Before I do that, I'm just going to hold it and make a notch mark, because otherwise it's going to be kind of difficult in the center. Okay, and then I just go and hold my zip and make a notch mark. So now I'm going to hold it to there, and then just go and sew a stitch, and then after I've sewn that, I'm going to hold it there and there, and I'm going to sew a stitch. Okay, I'm just resting my foot at the edge of the zipper here, and I'm starting from the center, because if I start from the beginning, it just kind of, the fabric will move a little bit. So I'm just trying to be safe, that's all. So So now I turn on the other side, and now I can see where I'm sewing, and I'm just go and sew on the same line to the other side. We finished sewing the zip. Now that's the main part. This is the lining. So for the lining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it like that, and I don't need a notch mark now because I can match the end to the end. And this time we need to go and close from the beginning of the fabric to the end of the fabric. Remember earlier I only sewed, I've only sewn in the zip till where the zip was, and I stopped it. But this time you need to go all the way till the end, okay? Once you have done that, you go on to the other side of the lining and you go and do the same thing like this, and you sew the lining on this side as well, okay? I'm going to show you how to do one of the lining, the other one I'm not going to film. Okay, this is where we've sewn the zip, and that is how your lining looks. This is the inside, this is the outside. Now you've got to watch this carefully, because first time I did it, I did a huge mistake and I ended up opening everything, okay? So hold your lining like this, and let's go and sew a 1/2 inch stitch on the lining. So 1/2 inch stitch on the lining, but we do a 1/4 stitch on the main fabric. Okay, you will see why we need this later on. Okay, I have sewn in 1/2 inch stitch, 1/4 inch stitch. Now this 1/2 inch stitch, what we're going to do, we're going to trim the seam allowance quite close to the stitch. Okay, leave this as it is, it really doesn't matter. Now hold, because this side is not closed, now hold this side of the lining and try and put everything inside out. I'm just going to go and iron this, so when we open this up, you can see there's a really neat zipper pouch all done, okay? I have ironed this out neatly, and we haven't closed the side because there's a reason for it, because this is going to go and catch inside the fabric of the side walls of the purse. Now if you open the purse, just make sure at this stage that your zipper kind of opens and closes neatly. When you open your purse, you have got a lot of interesting fabrics and colors to see. And also the reason I have made this into a little round curve at the bottom is because in my purse all my change and pennies and coins go and get stuck in the corner here. But if you have a round, because if you're holding your purse like this, your change will always be in the center, so you can actually kind of go in and pick your change up so it won't go and get stuck in the corner, okay? Okay, we need to go on to the next step. So this is the top panel of the bag, and basically how this is going to work is this is going to go on like this, but this will hold just before in there like that, and this will close on the top like that. But this is the gap for us to put all the credit card pouches in. So you don't, if you don't want to have it, you can skip this, but you know it would be nice to have this, because you know most of us will have you know lots and lots of cards, whether it is credit card, debit card, or all sorts of cards, loyalty cards, whatever you name it, okay? I'm going to show you, we need to prepare this one for the card. What I've decided for my card pouches, I'm going to use a stripy fabric. This is not in the pattern because you don't need a pattern for this. Approximately I've taken 3 times the size of this fabric. So what I'm going to do, this is the right side, this is the right side, and I'll leave, because this is slightly wider than the fabric, I'm going to leave equal amounts on either side, like so, and just go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch at the edge. So I have sewn a 1/4 inch stitch like that, and just open it up, and then I'm going to fold it in on the seam and just press it with a hot iron. So let me go on the other side and iron it again. Now you need to watch this carefully, because I'm going to place 2 cards in there. This is my old business card. It's already expired, so I'm not worried if somebody watches, somebody sees all the card details on there. So take this fabric in like that, and then just make sure that you have left the kind of equal amount of gap, like so, and then take your card away. I think my fabric is not very straight, that's why my stripes are not matching. I'm not going to worry too much about it, so I'm just going to go and make the iron mark. And again, I'm going to place my card at the top edge of my fold, then fold it in, and then iron it here so I get my iron mark, and then I go and give another ½ inch gap so that I can see my cards properly, and take the cards away, otherwise they will melt, because basically they're plastic. In this pattern we have space for 2, like 2 pouches here. We're also going to make some more on the inside. If you want any more, you can actually make more, but make sure that you reduce this. You know, the more you make here, the more you have to reduce, so that's not really ideal. You need to change the pattern if you need to do that. But if you follow for 2 now, if you have more requests, then I might do another tutorial later on doing more of them. So anyway, just hold it like this, and we're going to go and sew on the sides and also in the center, just right in the center, just a stitch, so right in the center. Okay, I have stitched on both the sides. If you can see, I have stitched here and I have stitched here, and that's basically your pouches for your cards. So forget about, I know this is a little bit bigger, but we are going to trim a little bit and then put the piping on. Okay, let's turn it around and just trim the sides. Now fold it into half, and then just make that mark, and then we just go and sew a straight stitch from here to here in this mark, because that's the center, so 2 cards on either side can sit here. Okay, I have just sewn in the center stitch. Now we don't need this extra fabric, so I'm going to leave about ½ inch and then turn this away. Now fold this in and just press it with iron. So now your card pouch is ready, so we go on to the next step. This is our main panel. Now we need to do the bias binding trim at the top and the bottom before we go ahead. And also we need to remember that I showed you earlier that we just kind of flipped this over and then ironed it. I'm going to fold it a little bit like that, just like that, and then put a top stitch, because that way when you see from inside outside all the way through, it is neatly finished. And this is my bias binding, so this is the side walls, and basically I'm just going to place my bias binding like that and just trim it. And you don't need to finish the edges, because we will when we finish the side walls, we're going to finish that. So just go ahead and place it like this and sew on both the sides. I'm just going to leave a little bit extra, then I can cut this off. Place this in the center, fold it into half, and make sure that your bias binding, the edge of this fabric is at the edge of in the center of the bias binding, and just place it like that, and then go and sew a straight stitch. Okay, I have finished binding these two, and there's a little bit excess, so I'm just going to trim this close to the edge. Now what we need to do is determine the marking for placing some more pouches for our cards. Okay, so now this, the edge of this needs to match the edge of the second line of your card fold. So let's just place it like that and then hold it like that, and you need to make sure this is parallel, so this is straight. We can always trim a little bit in the side if it's not sitting properly. So now I need to place a couple of pins and just go and sew a stitch on the top here. When you sew this stitch, just make sure the bottom of your the bottom thread on your machine is matching to the main fabric. I've put black, and this is a very dark blue denim, so it's not going to show so much. So when you do the stitch, just make sure that you have to be absolutely sure, otherwise it's going to end up showing through your you know, it's going to look very untidy. Okay, so I'm just going to check once again and just make sure this is straight, and I'm going to place some pins and go and sew a stitch here. Okay, before we go ahead, I put the pins here and I want to do some more marking, so I thought I'll show you. So basically where we're going to stitch, that is where this is going to fold naturally, because that's the kind of, you know, the top panel sitting inside, and it's going to fold away. At this stage, just check if there's enough room, because when you fold it, you can't fold it like this, because you need to leave a little gap before the top fold. You need to leave a little gap, because usually when you start putting things in your purse, lots of receipts, lots of cards and cash and things like that, you need the space to open up properly. So that's why you need this space here. So let's just do that and just make sure the width here is the same. I'm just going to make a little score mark, so, and then I'm just going to teeny bit, I'm going to do a pen mark. We don't need to mark it because that's going to be closed in the piping in a minute. So I'm going to leave, from that mark, I'm going to leave about 1/4 inch on either side, and just make a pen mark. This is going to be covered, so I'm not worried that this is going to be seen. Okay, I've just made a pen mark. So now what we need to do, just open this up, don't worry about it. I've taken a little piece of red fabric, leave a little bit on either side, because sometimes if it goes across, it's a nightmare to remove all the stitches and then redo it again. Okay, so place your fabric on the line, so this line is going to be closed. Now we go and sew a 1/4 inch stitch from here to here. You'll see in a minute why we need this, because I'm going to do 2 more little pouches for more cards at the back. At the same time, I'm going to go and sew on this line as well whilst I'm on the machine. Okay, that is sewn in. Now we have sewn the stitch. Turn it around like that, and then iron it. Now again, keep your card in and take that there, and just make sure that you have a straight line when you do this, and then iron it again. And again, keep the card in, turn it in, and I'm going to make this really small because I haven't got enough fabric, and this fabric needs to fold and sit there, but you know, because this is going to be flat, it's fine. That room is more than enough. And then the edge, I'm just going to fold in like that. And now I'm going to put a top stitch right at the edge of this fabric on the top. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is my zipper pouch is going to sit like this, and this is going to cover up like that, and all of this is going to be held by a side wall, and we're going to close the purse like that. Okay, so let me put this away, and I'm just going to go and do a top stitch. After doing the top stitch, I also need to do a center mark just like that from there. Okay, I have sewn in the center stitch, this stitch, and I've also sewn in the sides, because otherwise this will kind of open up. So I'm just going to trim this away. You see why I don't have patterns for this, because if I give you patterns, then you're going to cut the patterns exactly as it is and then to sew the stitches, because these are tiny parts. It's going to be very difficult for if you're an intermediate. It's not this project is not for beginners. It's sort of, you know, somebody who's a little bit advanced than beginners. That's the reason, you know, I've made this project. It's easier if you have bigger fabric, and then, you know, move your fabric around and just make sure it's right, and then we can go ahead. Okay, before we go any further, we need to fix this one. These two we can fix this right at the end. We need to fix this one. Now remember, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the part 1 of this wallet tutorial. Please click on the link below this video, and that will take you to part 2. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you in the new year.